In this video, I want to show you how to sort columns. And again, this is something that you may know as a basic skill already, but we can really work with sorting very nicely and also customize our sorting. So I'm going to show you some tips there. All right, so notice that we have so many different columns here. And right now, it's not really organized in any major correct order, right? It's not in alphabetical order or anything like that. What happens with Excel is as you enter data, it just gets entered in one after the other. So a lot of times it would be nice to sort your data either by employee ID number or maybe by last name, maybe by hire date, maybe by office location. So you can go and play around with the different features here and change those sorts, which is really nice. So I'll just follow along with your text to kind of go through the sorts that they recommend. But again, a lot of times when I'm looking at my own data on Excel, I may sort things multiple different ways just to see if I can find any patterns or look for highest or lowest values and things like that. So it's nice because you can really just play around with the data there. So let's see. So they want to sort by hire date. So I would go to my hire date column. And again, there's different ways to do this. So one thing to note is that because we have a data range here, Excel again recognizes that if I click just cell E5, for instance, that I'm looking at that column. If you don't have a data range, what you can always do is actually just select all the cells that you want to sort, and you can do it more manually that way instead. All right, so I'm going to go up to my data tab here, and then you have sort features. And A to Z and Z to A are the two most basic sorts. So A to Z obviously would go from like lowest to highest, or in alphabetical order A to Z, and Z to A would be backwards. So you would do newest to oldest, highest to lowest, Z to A, etc. the other direction here. So for instance, maybe I want to sort my hire dates, and I'm going to do A to Z. I want to start with the lowest hire date first. And you can see now we're down to 2016. And because I have a data range, it automatically fixed the rows to align with that. When you don't have a data range, it is a little bit trickier. Like if you kind of have your data spread out with a lot of spaces in between, it won't recognize that. So again, in those cases, you may have to select the cells that you want to sort and be a little bit more careful. Again, I can kind of keep playing around here. So maybe I want to look at base salary instead. So I can click the base salary. And maybe I want to see who gets paid the most. So let's sort from Z to A. And again, it will flip that for you. I can also sort the bonuses. You know, maybe I want to see who gets the highest bonus. Benny gets the highest bonus, etc. So I can sort individual columns here. Now you can also build your sort. So maybe I don't want to just know one thing from high to low. Maybe I want to kind of really organize my data. So we can sort on multiple fields. So we just click, you can click anywhere in your document. Again, you have a nice organized data range here. So with, you know, labeled columns, information going across, and I can click the sort button instead. Oops. I'm going to click in my data range. Sorry about that. I have to actually click something in the data range. There we go. And then, so you start by what is your main focus. So maybe my main focus is on the office location. So I would really like to organize this by office, right? So maybe I'm in HR and it's just much easier for me to know, okay, which employees work in the Boston office, which employees work in the Dallas office, and so on. So I can go ahead and do that. And notice that we're sorting on the cell values, meaning the input in that cell. And we're going to sort from A to Z here. So we'll just do an alphabetical order. Now, within each office, though, I would really like to sort by income, for instance. So I'm going to add a level, and then my second sort is going to be by base salary. And we can leave this one by, let's see, your book recommends largest to small, so we'll just follow suit. And we can change how we want that sorted. And then we can go ahead again and keep adding on here. So for instance, let's just start with this. I'm going to click OK. And you can see now everything is sorted by office. So I have Boston, Chicago, Dallas. And then within Boston, the salary is going from highest to lowest there. So that's my second sort. Again, and I can kind of keep tweaking this. Oops, let's try that again. All right, so maybe instead I want to sort by department first. So I can sort by department. And then maybe I would like to then sort by salary, okay? From largest to smallest. And again, so now when I click OK, again, it's going to sort by Boston. Then it's going to organize by department now instead. So you can see Boston has different departments. And again, they're in alphabetical order here. And then within each of those departments, the salary is from highest to lowest. So we can keep sorting as detailed as we need to. Instead of just doing one column, we can really say, hey, I would like to sort by office and then also department. And then I also need to know the salaries in that department. So we can make levels of sorting here, which is really helpful. The other thing that you can do too in the sort is you can customize your order. So let's say for office, you don't want to go from A to Z. We want to create something custom. So I can add a custom list here, and your book recommends going in order when the offices were created. So Boston, it looks like, was the first office created, then Chicago, let's see, then Denver, then San Francisco, and then Dallas. So we can create our own custom order and hit add and hit OK. And then when I go to select here, I can select my list there and then hit OK, and we'll see it'll come up here. So it'll sort using a custom list as well. And then now you'll see that, you know, instead of Dallas being kind of in the middle, Dallas is at the end now. So I can create custom lists as well. One last thing I do want to note here is that we do typically sort on cell values, meaning on whatever is input into the cell, whether it's text or numbers, etc. But you could sort on cell color, font color, or some sort of conditional formatting. So if that is more important to you, maybe you have your cells organized in certain colors, for whatever reason, you could sort by color instead, or you can sort by conditional formatting that you've used, etc. So it doesn't have to just be the cell values, although that's probably the most common. You could sort by formatting as well. Okay, so let's see. We have office, department, base salary. So I'm going to hit OK and leave this. So the other thing I want to show you in this video, which is a little bit different, but it uses the sorting that we just did, is how to quickly add subtotals. So for instance, in this case, it would probably be helpful to have maybe a subtotal for each location. So for instance, maybe I'd like to know the total amount for salaries spent in the Boston office, or the total amount of commissions earned in the Boston office. And I want to do this for each of my offices. Well, what you could do is you could manually go in, right? You could click here under Boston, I could insert a row, and I could use my sum feature to find all those calculations. But there's a faster way to do it if you're going to do it for each sort of subcategory that we've created. So our subcategories are the different office locations in this case. So let me show you how to do that. And again, it's a nice application for the sort feature as well, to make things a little bit easier afterwards if you need to do some basic calculations, right? So this works well for, you know, your totals, your averages, things like that. So your very basic calculations. So you're going to stay in the data tab here, and then you're going to go over to outline. And then you're going to click subtotal, and subtotal has, again, your, oops, sorry, I got to stop clicking a row here. Let's see. So your subtotal title here actually does some of your basic functions. So sum, count, average, max, min, product, A couple others. Standard deviation is for statistics, variance is for statistics, etc. So it's your basic kind of calculations here. It's not just all subtotal, but they're your most common kind of basic statistical calculations. So we can go ahead and just use sum in this case. And maybe I would like to figure out for each office here, the sum of the base salaries, the bonuses, and the commissions. I don't care about the eval score, so I'm going to unselect that and just make sure that those are the only ones that I have selected here. And I would like these columns to occur at each change in office, right? Because I've sorted mainly by office location, right? Boston, Dallas, Denver, etc. And I would really like to have my totals at each office underneath. So I'm going to have the change occur for each office. I'm going to use the sum function, and I would like to know the base salary, the bonus, and the commission for each office. I'm going to leave the following selected here, replace current subtotals, because it's the first one that I'm doing. I don't have any previous subtotals, so I'm just going to replace it and start fresh, and have the summary data below as well. So the summary data below, I'll show you that. That's the total column for everything. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And let's make sure I didn't mess anything up here. If I scroll down under Boston, there we go. I do see it. There's my Boston total. So it automatically gets added in, and you have the total for those 3 columns there that I requested. And if I keep scrolling down, I see there's Chicago. Where is it? There's Chicago's total. We have Denver's total somewhere up here. There's Denver, and so on. So this occurs at the end of each change in office. So it's a really fast way to get those subtotals in here. And then the summary part is they do give you the grand total at the very bottom. So this is the total for all offices. You can also do more. So maybe I would also like to know the average salary or the average commission for each office. So I can go back to outline, and I can go ahead and click subtotal again. And I'm going to do it after each office. This time I want to do the average here. Now for this one, I don't want to replace my subtotals. I want to leave the subtotal there, the sum, and I want to add average in. So I'm not replacing what I just did. I want to add to it. So I'm going to go ahead again and click OK. And if you scroll down, you can see it added in the average, right? So I have the average salaries now, or the average commissions, etc. And I also have the totals, and this will occur after each office location. There's the next one. And then at the bottom, I will have all of my totals as well, my grand average and my grand total. So again, a really nice feature that just saves some time working with big data like this, or bigger data. Over here, you have some this is called like the outline view, and you can play around with the different features to see how much you want to view. So if you just click 1, for instance, it's just the grand totals. So the grand total or the grand average, it's just the summary statistics. If you click 2, it will give you, we did 2 different outlines here, right? We did one for totals and then one for averages. So it's going to give us just the total for each office, and then it'll give us the summary statistics there. If I click 3, it gives us the total and the average for each of the offices with the summary at the bottom. And then if I click 4, it'd give me the full data set. So sometimes you may not want to see everything. Maybe you just want to see the breakdown, and you can hide the other information. The other thing you can do here is you can expand certain parts of it. So for instance, if I click the plus on the 360, it's just expanding the information for Denver. So it didn't expand Boston or Chicago or San Francisco or Dallas. It just did Denver. So you actually can open and close those features as well, and just expand certain parts of the data. And that may be helpful too. So again, just some little tips here on, working with these data sets. So I'm going to go back in here to subtotal, and I am going to remove all. So I'm going to hit remove all and just kind of clear that back out. And I just want to show you one more feature. And I can also create my own groups. So here we use the office location to create our groups. but you could do it differently as well. So, let's say you're interested in just looking at, I don't know, the first, couple rows here. You can also select what you want that way and hit this group feature. And you can see it creates a group. So you'd be able to, expand that or unexpand it. So you can see I can close it back down and hide it and open it as well. So you can go in and create your own groups if you want to. I'm going to ungroup this. But the grouping helps with the outline feature. So if you want to be able to kind of just open and close certain parts of that worksheet pretty quickly using that outline feature, you can create your own groups there as well.